What it do, baby? Guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast, episode number 12. Me and my boy Johnny. Guess what time it is? It's Dame time. It is NBA time, baby. Opening night preview, guys. I hope you're as hyped as we are. This is going to be a lit week. Johnny and I have been waiting for this for time. Even though
Yes,
it's only
sir.
been a couple months, it's felt like years. I don't know about you, bro. What are you saying?
I
How
think
does it
it's only
felt?
been like 72 days, it hasn't been
Honest.
that much of an off season, but yeah, I'm super hyped and we got some big matchups on opening night as well. But man, I had my fantasy draft last night and I'm just can't wait for the season to get started.
For real, bro. All right, so opening night preview. Let's start up with the big time game, Lakers versus the Clippers. What are we saying? What is the prediction going to be?
I don't think there's really much of a a discussion to be held here. I got Lake Show taking it by double digits for sure. It's definitely gonna be more
Double
than 10.
digits.
Yeah, especially Kawhi and Paul George, they've been lacking in preseason.
That's
They got to
true.
watch out for THT as well. I think he'll give them problems. But yeah, LeBron, AD, even though they had a short off season, I think they'll turn it around right away. And yeah, I don't see the Lakers, especially with the roster upgrades, they made as well, getting Dennis Schroeder and Montrez Harrell from the Clippers. Two of the six man of the year and one of the finalists for six man of the year. Yeah, they're the clear favorites, and I see them starting the season off on a good note on the 22nd and getting that win.
You know
What
what?
about you?
As much as it pains me to say it, I gotta agree with you, man. I mean, there's no argument here. I think that what we've seen, even though it's a little tidbit and maybe doesn't mean that much, Lakers coming off as the NBA champions, only to improve their roster. I mean, I think that it's gonna be a big statement game for LeBron, who's gonna take over the rightful owner as the king of LA and have all the bragging rights in LA. But I think that LeBron yeah, he's definitely gonna take this as a statement game and really show what team belongs as the rightful owner of the Staples Center in LA.
Yeah, too, with the Battle of LA, we never got that conference finals that everyone was expecting last year. So hopefully, this the 22nd, hopefully it can make up for it because they did have, even in the bubble too, they had some, it was always a great game whenever the two of them met.
That's true, and I think that it's kind of stirring up the bigger question: what's going to happen this season? Do we think that LeBron is going to give it 100% this season? Because obviously, we saw that he was throwing a little bit of shade at Giannis last year after falling short with only I think 12 first place votes for the MVP. So with this short turnaround, and obviously LeBron has expressed his discontent with the season starting so early. Do you think that he's going to give it 100%, starting right at the out of the batting cage to show that he's the MVP of this league?
You know, I'm gonna say no, just because he's kind of among the NBA players. He's always voiced his displeasure with an earlier start date. As mentioned earlier, the finals finished October 17th,
Yeah,
so that's only a 72-day turnaround for him to come back. Didn't get much of a rest. This is a guy who goes to the finals. He's been to the last like 10 straight NBA finals, so
that's true.
he's had short off seasons every year. Or sorry, I think one year with the his first year with the Lakers, they didn't make it. But yeah, and LeBron too, even with Cleveland, LeBron, there's two different LeBrons. There's regular season LeBron and there's
Yeah.
playoff LeBron. And LeBron every year he always turns it up during playoffs. With the Cavs before, when they're the year they were a 4 seed, people said how, oh, like they're not even going to make it out of the second round, for example, and they went all the way to the finals. LeBron turned it up, so I don't see him, especially since he was one of the advocates for the start date being on Martin Luther King Day in January, I think January 25th. But yeah, I don't see him giving 100%. And for a matter of fact, like he doesn't need to, regardless of where LA finishes in the regular season. Playoffs when it comes around, they're going to perform regardless.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see LeBron giving it 100%. Like, why risk the injury? But the one thing that I will hold against him is that I don't want to see this guy getting upset at the end of the year when he doesn't get that MVP award because he wants to turn it up at the end of the season when it's already too late. Because the Greek Freak's gonna have it going full steam ahead all season, and now young boy Luka Doncic is gonna be turning that up too. So yeah, I don't want to hear anything from this guy saying that I deserved it when he only turns it up in the last month. And moving on to the other side of LA, the LA Clippers. How about we talk a little about their stars and how important it is for them to step up this season? What are your predictions? What do you think? Who's going to be that leader? Who's going to take over for the Clippers?
Yeah, especially with the fact that Paul George recently signed a 4-year, $196 million extension. Um, I would like to see him kind of prove he's worth that money, prove the doubters wrong, especially from last year in that horrendous, awful bubble performance. And yeah, I think because in terms of like Kawhi, like I don't really see him. I know we've talked about it before, like how he's not much of that like leader. Like he doesn't have the same leadership as LeBron. Um, say like maybe like Luca, for example, too. They don't like he doesn't he can do his own thing and he can like carry a team, but with other superstars, like he's not going to really be one to like motivate and push them. He's going to kind of like go off and do his own thing. But yeah, I think out of the two of them, I think there's definitely more pressure on Paul George. He did say he was like back with his new trainer or old trainer from his MVP season, but also like why would you leave your trainer at like who like during your MVP season somewhere else? But he said he's coming for heads this year. He's back. In preseason it didn't look that way. We saw some pandemic P, but yeah, I think Paul George definitely needs to step up, and especially this year with that recent contract he signed. He has to prove the haters wrong and prove that he's worth that much money, especially too like the amount of picks and players the Clippers gave up to get him. I think it was 4 or 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's about to take off this year, favorite for the Most Improved Player award. Danilo Gallinari as well. So yeah, there's no excuses this year. He has to perform. What about you?
Yeah, I think that we've seen that Kawhi, as great of a player as he is, he doesn't have that charisma. He's a very indifferent character on the field, or sorry, the court. Think about soccer right now, but I think that Kawhi, as great as a player he is, he's not the answer to the Clippers' woes right now. I think that PG is the guy that needs to step up and prove that he's worth all those damn picks, because they gave up a lot. And Kawhi, the thing is that some of the onus is on Kawhi, because Kawhi is the guy that went to Clippers and said, "This is the guy I want." So if this is the guy you wanted, you got to prove that this guy's good, and this guy's got to prove that he's good too, or else all of those picks were worth nothing, because he's gonna be off. He's gonna be leaving next camp or next year if it doesn't work out. I mean, Kawhi's a free agent, right? So um, they've got to make some big moves this season and really show that they belong in the Western Conference Finals, at least against the LA Lakers. Getting to the finals is a different story, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and just like in general, just like performing in the playoffs, because even regardless of how the regular season they have, if they don't perform in the playoffs, then it doesn't mean anything. So they got to make
For
sure
sure.
they're kind of getting their act together and playing well at the right time.
Yeah.
And moving on, so the second game of the evening, we got the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Golden State Warriors. I think this game would have been better if Klay Thompson was in it, or not would have, but
For me, it's
100%.
fireworks still, man. What I've seen so far, and yeah, like I said, it's preseason, so yada yada yada. But I think that KD and Kyrie are looking so good together, and as a Bucks fan, I'm worried in the East. I mean, it's one thing to play them in the regular season, but playoffs, they're a different beast. I see it coming. I think that they're gonna be incredible. But yeah, like I said, I think that KD and Kyrie teaming up will be a steamroll against the Warriors. I don't think it'll be close at all. I think they'll get blown out depending on how many minutes they play. But yeah, it's gonna be a firework of a game. KD going up against his old team, the guys that said he was a snake. So a little bit of a revenge tour for KD. But yeah, I can't wait to watch this game. And it's the the first real game we've seen KD in over a year,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing. So yeah, it's gonna be amazing to watch.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Preseason, especially, KD and Kyrie, there was questions whether the two can coexist on the court. Preseason, again, they've looked great. And yeah, one kind of like really interesting point that you brought up with KD and Kyrie, being contenders in the East of the Bucks. Personally, I think at first I wasn't really too high on them, but after seeing them play, like I honestly would not be surprised if they end up finishing number one during the
They
regular
could.
season in the Eastern Conference, and also kind of in playoffs too. Like playoffs and the regular season are two like very different animals. Almost like two completely different seasons. Once playoffs start, everything you did in the regular season doesn't matter anymore. We saw that with the Bucks this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Best record in the NBA. Out, they lost in 5 games to the Miami Heat. And yeah, especially in playoff basketball, you're playing 7 games against a team. They have all your offenses scouted, everything. And the main thing you need is you need superstars to carry. You need guys that you can rely on to carry the team, get buckets, especially down the stretch too in crunch time. And with 2 lethal scorers and Kevin Durant and Kyrie, 2 of the best scorers the game has ever seen. Especially in playoffs, come playoff time, if I was a team in the Eastern Conference, I would not want to see them anytime soon.
That's true.
Yeah, moving on to Golden State, this is a very different Warriors team this year. They picked up Kelly Oubre. This is going to be Andrew Wiggins' first season, and of course with the Klay Thompson injury. I just wanted to ask, how do you think that will kind of affect their play and affect them in general this year with him on the sidelines?
It'll be night and day. I'm telling you right now, without Klay, this team, they go from being a contender to maybe not even making the playoffs. And it's the same for Steph. I think that one without the other it's like you're like you're Thanos and you're missing one of your rings on the gauntlet.
Hmm.
You need all of them to work together, or in this case, both of them, because one without the other, it doesn't work. Because if you analyze it the way that Steph plays, both of them and Klay as well, both of them move their off-ball movement is the best in the league. Their IQ of off-ball movement is incredible, and that relieves pressure off the other player. When one has the ball, you can't just double team Steph, because if you double team, that means that Klay's open. And if
Yeah.
Steph kicks it out to Klay, that's a bucket right there. So without having his partner in crime, it's going to affect Steph a lot and his ability to even make a run for the MVP. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it definitely raises a question how good Steph Curry can be without Klay. I think in that Golden State system, guys like Draymond Green are going to get exposed, as this past year too, because he's like way better on the court with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, taking pressure off the defense. So I think it's going to impact his production on the court. But yeah, Steph Curry, a lot of people have said he can return to like MVP form. I don't think there's really a question whether he's going to return to becoming the league's best point guard. Like recently there's been a lot of talk about Damian Lillard, especially after his bubble performance. People were calling him the best point guard in the NBA, which is complete bullshit, to be
Don't agree with
honest.
that at all. Yeah.
Straight up. And yeah, he's definitely, I don't know if will be able to kind of return to that like top 5 player status in the league, especially with guys like Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic emerging as well. But yeah, like kind of right now, I would say he's not like a really top 3 or even maybe top 5 MVP candidate, maybe top 5 if he can lead Golden State in wins. But with Klay Thompson's sideline, that's going to be very, very hard to do this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Steph's an incredible player, but yeah, like I said, he needs his partner in crime. And I think, yeah, it's going to maybe expose that a little bit, even for Steph, showing that it's very hard to carry a team by yourself. And it kind of segues to our next point because, um, there's only one guy in this league that I know that can carry a team like no other, and that guy is Giannis Antetokounmpo. So this decision just happened recently, and obviously, as many people know, many people that know me know that I was very excited for this to happen. I had a couple posts on my story, just a couple, not too many, but yeah, I was definitely going crazy about that, and for me, yeah, this single-handedly turned 2020 around for me. I think that, yeah, it made it a great season. It's very important that this happened as well because it goes against the normal dynamic that we currently see in the NBA. We saw KD turn down that Supermax, go to Golden State. We saw AD turn down that Supermax, leave NOLA, and go to team up with his buddy LeBron in LA. So I think that it just shows how different of a cat this guy is, how loyal he is to his team, how loyal he is, and how differently raised he was. So him signing this is a very big win for the NBA and a very big win for small market teams, especially in the NBA.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with everything you said there. And too, like Giannis's story, he kind of grew up on the streets of Greece. He was born in Nigeria, but immigrated to Greece, grew up on the streets selling trinkets and CDs, kind of going there, didn't own a suit before the night before draft night.
7 hours before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even, his first season in the NBA, he didn't own a car or anything or even a bike. He like ran to the arenas, because he was sending so much money back home. He couldn't even afford a taxi. So just like an amazing, like, I honestly can't even think of any other like better come up stories, from like rags to riches, going
Yeah,
from nothing, having nothing to millions and millions and millions and more money you can ever dream of. And yeah,
exactly.
he 100% deserves every penny. And I really like too how he's staying loyal to the Bucks and deciding to build something there, because he could have easily gone to a team like Golden State, or LA, which would completely like turn the league upside
Destroy
down.
the league
But
upside down.
yeah, and definitely too, like it made me, I was already a big Giannis fan before, but it definitely like made me like kind of raise my level of respect for him. And talking about his money too, we're going to give you guys a quick contract breakdown if you haven't seen it. So recently, his deal is 5 years, 228 million, which is crazy. Like that's
Unreal.
man, I honestly don't even know what I would do with that money. Like
What can you
straight
do?
up.
It's incredible.
Yeah. For every season, that's 45 million a season, which equates to half a million a game. That's 139K a quarter. He's making 11.6K, so $11,000 a minute, and that's $193 a second, which
Bro,
is
what would you do with this kind of money?
mind-boggling. What
Like
if I
that's
was
crazy
making
just to think about that.
$193 a second?
A second, bro. If I dropped $100, I wouldn't even pick it up because I'd make it by the time I bent down, man. Are you crazy?
Yeah,
Oh my God. I just for me it's incredible. And I think there's not a single guy in this league that deserves that money more than him.
yeah,
I mean, it just shows you that when you're put in these situations of like even being such a poor person living in such a poor area of the world, there's still like that amazing story that you could pursue, and there's always a chance. So I think he speaks for a lot of kids that live in unfortunate situations, and I think that he's their role model, which is pretty incredible.
yeah,
Segueing away a little bit from that, just talking a little bit more about the NBA side of this contract and how he's going to affect Milwaukee for the next 5 years. We had a little poll on Twitter a while ago about how many championships we think that the Milwaukee Bucks will earn in the next 5 years, with Giannis being their king of the throne. So, what do you think? How many championships is realistic for this team?
yeah. I think they'll definitely get one, maybe two. But the thing is, like with the Lakers still and LeBron, I don't really see anybody beating them. Even the Bucks, the Nets, they're gonna have to put up with KD and Kyrie now
Yeah,
in the East. So definitely the first 2 years of Giannis's Supermax, so the next 2 years, I don't really see them kind of winning any championships. I think the third year they'll be able to get one. And yeah, if they're lucky, maybe a second. But I think the NBA is just, there's a lot of teams on the come up. You got the Nuggets. The
yeah,
Lakers are always going to be a contender and a championship favorite as long as LeBron's there. If the Clippers turn things around. And yeah, basically the fact too that kind of Giannis hasn't really performed in the playoffs. He hasn't led them to the Eastern Conference Finals, or sorry, to the finals yet, especially this year too. But yeah, I definitely see them getting one and maybe two on the lucky side. But yeah, that money has definitely got to convert into a championship.
for sure. And
What about you?
I think I agree with your points for sure. I think that the NBA is only becoming more talented, and like it's incredible to see how the NBA has transformed. We only used to see like two or three superstars in the league, and now it's plentiful of superstars. There's so many emerging, and even at younger ages, we're seeing them becoming superstars. So, with all that said, um, I still think that if we in one more year, I think we can really turn things around, and I think that the Lakers tide will roll away, and I think it'll be Bucks time. I see two championships in the next 5 years with Giannis,
Hmm.
being the king. So
Yeah,
I think that this year it'll be very hard. I don't see them coming away with it. I can definitely see us making the finals, but um, yeah, I think that Lakers right now are just a little bit too strong. It's kind of hard to beat out two superstars when you only got one, but hey, if he can do it, kudos to him because that would be absolutely incredible season that no one could take away from him.
yeah, and yeah, no, they definitely, Milwaukee's done a lot too. They've shown Giannis that they're serious about building around
100%.
him. They spent the money. It would have been nice if they got Bogdanovich into that
Yeah,
number two spot. That would have been actually very, very nice. But yeah, with the addition of Drew Holiday, they're definitely going to be able to make a run for it. And, definitely within the next 5 years, even twice, it is likely that they can win 2 championships, definitely achievable. And our last question of the day, can Giannis win 3 straight MVPs? Do you think that's doable this year?
I think that the NBA, the MVP, since it's a regular season award, I want to say yes, but the problem is that we've seen that unfortunately he has sputtered in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be in the back of the minds of a lot of media reporters and GMs who are making this vote. So I think that the only way he's going to go back to back to back and get that third MVP is if he has an incredible season where he takes 3 steps up, because I don't even think taking a step up will be enough, because people would still be like, okay, you're cool in the regular season, but you die off in the playoff season, so we can't give you that MVP award. So unless he has absolutely ridiculous stats and it goes up by, I don't know, at least 3 points per
Yeah,
game.
like what kind of
Like,
stat line are you like? What stat line would you expect from him to
the thing
get
is,
that third
I think
MVP?
he's still I think his stats will improve again this year. The problem is that they have to improve so significantly. Like he still has the best stat line in the NBA right now. There's no one that topples him in terms of stats. But yeah, like what I think would be enough to prove that he's still the MVP is going up from 30 to 32 points per game, maybe going from 13 rebounds to like 15 rebounds per game, and then maybe toss in a couple extra assists, maybe like 7 assists, which would be one of the most unheard of stat lines in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's the most efficient player in the history of the NBA. So I think that it will be very, very hard to go anywhere up from there. But if he can do it, he 100% deserves that third MVP.
Yeah, no, I think he'll definitely be like a top 5, maybe even top 3. Favorite, just the fact that he has won the past 2. I think even no matter how good of a season he has, I just don't think the NBA can give it to him. I think we saw that with Russell Westbrook as well. The one year they gave it to James Harden just because Russ won the year before and it was close between them. But yeah, I think he still will have an MVP caliber season. But yeah, I don't think the NBA, regardless of how he performs, I don't think they'll give it to him 3 straight years.
Yeah, it'll be tough for sure.
So that wraps up today's episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned later this week. We're going to be dropping a special midweek special with some fantasy related content. There's fantasy NBA. It's big. Every year is a big fantasy year. We got all the drafts going on right now. So we're going to be giving you guys some tips and some information, little inside exclusive coverage on it.
Exactly.
Check, we plugged our socials below, Instagram and Twitter. We're always active on there, running polls every day, messaging people back and forth. So give us a follow there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that thumbs up below. Let's try to aim for, again, 20 likes this video. It's definitely doable. It takes like 2 seconds to drop a like as well.
Costs $0, guys.
But yeah, again, guys, like me and Dav, we really appreciate all the support we've received so far. With 2020 coming to a close, we are expecting very big things. It's the Eurosteppers takeover 2021.
Let's do it.
It's going to be our year. And also another new thing is we recently started a TikTok page. So check us out on TikTok. We'll also plug it below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button below, and we will see you guys soon.
Peace, guys.